my dad had nice hair.
Right?
He got good
Well,
hair.
and even Anthony's not loosening his hair.
No.
And Papa had hair till he passed.
Yeah,
He was
so our
like
grandpa
80s.
had, yes.
So it's like...
Hair's going to run in our family. That's great. That's great. Moisturizer.
This guy.
Yeah.
Nah,
gotcha.
nah.
Not,
And
well,
if
no,
not,
well,
you'll
I
do
mean,
like
at least hair is not the gray. The gray has came in at like 12.
Some people look crispy, you know, with a bald head.
Yeah,
My
I
head
mean,
is like a good head.
It looks a very good head.
Yeah.
Jason Statham, very good head.
Right.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, very good head.
Because there's
a
people
lot
where
of
you're
very
like,
handsome
you
men
look
that do bald well.
I can do
like
it.
you would abduct kids,
Yeah.
but you don't.
Wow.
You don't.
Stop
You
it.
don't. So
Dang, she on one today. I didn't know.
She hit me with
I'm
that.
sorry, bro. I didn't know we were gonna get all this today.
I've heard some...
I know. I said you look great. You
I've
don't
heard
look
other
like one of
crazier
those.
stuff.
Have you?
I remember one time I was in the store, and I'm shopping some cats. I'm wearing almost like this, but I have a turtleneck on.
Oh
And
gosh.
some young guys were like, they passed by, and they were like, yo, but I heard them whispering, so they went on the other aisle, and all I hear them say, "Where's my super suit?" I was like, wait a minute.
Dang, you got banged on by
I
some
was like,
teenagers.
"Hey, Bozo." And I'm like, stop it.
Oh gosh, we'd have to show the clip of my dad
There's
where he
no-
dressed up as
yeah,
Frozen.
yeah, I've
oh
seen him
god,
with
that's a
that. So
mess.
it's like-
That was.
But see, I used to have a goatee for a bit, so then it was even
Really?
more.
Oh yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's
There's
just-
no other level of insignificance till you get made fun of by teenagers.
Well, you know about the sneaker time.
I mean,
That's the best story
I get
ever.
made fun of by teenagers all the time.
Yeah.
So
Like, yo, that's all you got.
I try to make it hard for them to make
Yeah.
fun of me, but they'll always find something. You know,
Always.
They
That
That
gotta
was the
find
only
something.
time.
They,
They
Yeah.
don't. They usually see me and they're like, yo.
they got respect
that
for the
was-
old man.
But
Those
I would ask
sneakers are
then,
fire. And
what's
I'm like-
worse, like having, like now we're going to be having teenagers soon in our family. We have older kids in ours, and my nephews make bag on her
Yes.
so
they say?
hard.
Well, I don't know. It's a lot of the time it's like, okay, you're rich auntie, and then the next day I'm broke auntie, or like,
Dang.
I'll say, okay, I'm going home, and they'll say, you don't have a house.
'Cause they're like, that's an apartment.
Yeah,
That
You
I
own a
see.
park.
that is an apartment. I'm
I
like,
saw that.
all the time. Elijah will check me. I'm like, I'm going home. He's like, you don't have a house. I'm like,
That's what you
Dang,
say.
that's
When
cold.
Christmas time comes, you're like,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Right,
I'm like,
right,
yeah, right.
I gotta
I'm
use that
broke
money from my
auntie this
house
time,
that I'm trying to
right?
save
That's
for.
what all I be doing.
All right, everybody, welcome to Beyond I Do. Today is a fun episode because, as you may have already guessed it or not, whether you're watching on YouTube or audio, we have a special guest up in the room. We have one of my friends who also is part of our Church Abundant Living, Eric Bradley. So we go many years back now at this
Yeah.
point. So we got Eric in the house, and then we have my wife's sister, my sister-in-law, Allie from Cali in the house.
Allie from Cali.
Who has been on Survivor season
35.
35. I don't know nothing about that. So Survivor season 35.
35.
Yeah.
And both happen to which be not in relationships, single. So
Yeah.
I don't forget what episode of our podcast it was, but we were talking one day, and I don't know if the joke was we should ask Allie questions about being single, or if it was we should ask Eric. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And then I said, so then I think maybe we were just like, let's just see if Allie
Allie,
can drive
yeah.
out because she lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
She goes to one of my best friend Julian Lowe's church, Oasis LA, who's been on Beyond the Letter
Yep.
as well. And so that's where she attends because she's all the way out in Los Angeles. And I think we were like, let's ask some single questions, dating, because we were talking about the dating world.
yeah.
We were talking about how different it was. I remember now.
Absolutely, yeah,
And then
yeah.
I was like, well, I just don't know.
I have
We
no
have no
idea.
idea.
No idea. We can only
don't-
guess.
So
You don't
far
wanna know.
removed.
Well,
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
far removed.
I'm like,
Thank
it's been
goodness.
10 years since
Yeah.
I was like truly single.
And
And
it's
the
so,
time
changed.
is so different.
Yeah.
Like, even from when you guys were dating. Like,
Yeah.
it's really different.
In what
Yeah.
ways then?
well, let me get to the intro and then I
Oh,
want to
okay.
So-
I was excited.
Yeah,
I wanna
so
hear all
we
the tea
were
and the
like, hey, we
drama.
want to know what's going on. And it was like, okay, well, let's ask Allie. And then I thought, well, it could become very one-sided if just a single girl is on, because then it could be, not that Allie would do it, but it could be like, guys suck,
I would probably do
everything's
it.
wrong.
That's
all
probably how it would play
everything
out.
is what's wrong.
Yeah.
It's all the guys is what's wrong.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. And then if we had a single guy, it could be everything's wrong with the girls. So it was like, we got to have
Right.
a single guy and a single girl on who do go out on dates, who are kind of out in the dating world trying to find that future person, which as far as I'm aware of both of you guys, you're also looking, you're doing as best as you can as a Christian. So you're looking for a future spouse. You're not just out there test riding all the cars.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what we're talking about. That's what we're interested, because people who watch our podcast, that tend to be what they identify as.
Right.
Christian people
Yeah.
who are trying to live out their faith in best way possible, whether it be through marriage, dating, or relationships. So that being said, that's the intro. We got Eric Bradley. We have Allie Elliott in the house, my wife's sister, and we're going to talk about single, but also what dating as a Christian, what's
Right.
going on. Allie, you can finish your thought of what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, since Ashley and you guys got together, I was still dating since then. I mean, I've been single now, I think it's like 8 years.
Yeah.
And I've been actively dating and actively not dating. So it's really bizarre with how I think the times have changed. I think
So would you say it's been 8 years since you've had a legitimate
relationship.
relationship?
So I've dated
8
here
years,
and there.
but like had a boyfriend.
a boyfriend.
8 years.
A boyfriend.
Okay.
I think the longest since then I've dated or talked to somebody, because now it's talking, is probably like 3 months.
Okay.
And then, so I can just go off of that. You know, this was probably a couple of years ago. I met a guy, we were dating, and it seemed all in well. But the huge deal breaker ended up being just insecurity. And so I'm someone that's like very confident, as you know, like I come on kind of strong. And the comment, and this kind of happens to me a lot, where I'll be, talking to somebody for a little bit and they'll say things like, oh, well, it seems like, if X, Y, and Z were to walk in the room, whether it's a football player or a basketball player or somebody of a higher caliber than what they see themselves as, they would say, you're probably just going to leave me for them. And so that insecurity for me, I'm like, well, I'm here dating you, especially this guy. I was like, we've been dating for a couple of weeks. And I was like, I'm dating you. Like, I feel like I've been clear with you. I've been open with you. And for you to still feel that way, that's on you. That's not on me. And
Yeah.
so and even as the older I've gotten, I'm not in a place to have to of course, once you get into that full-on relationship, you want to be that, person that uplifts and does that. But from the beginning, if you're not secure in yourself, I can't do that for you from the get-go.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. Right.
That's too much work.
Do you think a lot of guys in the dating space are well, let me ask you this. Most guys that are they
question.
single or are they married?
Most guys I know, okay.
Yeah. That are like in your close
There's
proximity
a close group is more married
of-
now.
Okay.
But then there's some of the other guys that'll be single guys. So let's say there's some dudes you see from the gym, right? Everybody's not Christian. So you have to figure out when you're talking to certain people, some are all about, oh yeah, that's nice over there, let me go get it. And there's others that are like, oh hey, let's first start talking.
Yeah.
Let's go friendship. And
Yeah.
then see where it goes from there. And some people are like, oh yeah, something's happening in the next week. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's the type you are. Okay, I get it.
So
I get
then
that.
there's certain people you don't hang out with too much, right?
Yeah.
Or get relationship advice from.
Yeah.
But so even what you're talking about there's an identity and confidence situation, right? Of like someone that thinks like, oh man, like someone's gonna leave me. Like I've been in some of those in the past before too, and it was like more of, oh hey, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? I'm like, yo, if you need to know, I'll tell you
Right.
whoever they are.
Right.
But there's no one, so you're good.
Yeah.
Right.
But then
Okay.
it was like,
So you're saying you've experienced insecure girls on the flip side.
and so it becomes kind of like it almost turns into a bad situation as far as like you're almost being I wouldn't say battered. What is that? The abuse with like verbal abuse, because it's almost like this weird
Gotcha,
thing of
yeah.
they're like,
you're
okay,
you're stepping on eggshells.
yeah,
every
you're like
every day.
saying like they'll say, oh, I'm not going to do it again, and you're like this. All right, next scene, some other person pops up, and I'm like, why are you asking about someone I never even I don't even talk to that person that much.
Yeah.
But I heard
Right.
that you may have talked to this person. I'm like, talking is like nothing.
Right.
You're
right.
talking about like you're acting like we're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right, right. And then I would ask the question too to the person, because Adam and I only have, when Adam and I first started dating, I only mentioned the serious relationships I had.
Yeah.
The people that were high and by, that shouldn't be the insecurity. So were those the insecurities that they were having? Was it the high and by friendships that were or because you guys are both known as two friendly people?
So
Do you think it's the over friendly that you guys are?
it could be that, but still, I know it could be, right? There's some people that flirt and be friendly, right? I just talk to a lot of people. Let's say, so for example, I was at the gym and I'm talking to the person I'm talking to at that time. They're like, "Oh, hey, how's your day?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, went to the gym this morning, ran into some people I've seen for a while. It's like 6 a.m. We all went to go get coffee." And then this person's like, "Oh, who all was there?" It's like a mix of girls and guys and couples. She's like, "Are any of the girls attractive?" I'm like,
That's like saying, you go to the grocery store. It's like, how was the cashier? Was she pretty?
Right. Why did she give? Oh, even that. I'll get hooked up with something. They're like, "Oh, why did she give you extra cookies?" I'm like, because I'm friendly. It's the love of God, right?
Right. It's a blessing,
right? And so even that situation is like, I'm just telling you what happened, and it would turn into like, "Oh, I don't know if I feel right with you hanging out with other attractive girls." I'm like, I'm just at the gym.
Right.
And then there was just a group of people that were like, "Hey, let's go kick it afterwards." I'm like, "Cool." Right. So that turns into that. So that, I don't know, I guess to answer your question.
So for both of you guys, has been a pretty consistent deal breaker for both of you have been if the person that you're dating has a lot of amount of security. Does that tend to be, for you guys, the resonating on why it doesn't move to
not any phase? I mean, I guess that's like one in every instance, but like I feel like lately for me has been talking to guys or meeting somebody that I'm interested in, or we kind of reciprocate the same feelings, and then they say, or they don't say anything. It's kind of like, okay, they don't make the plans, they don't say let's meet here or there at what time, and so a lot of it, I'm like, I am, a grown woman. I pay my own bills. I have my own job. I live alone. If you're not making a decision on day one to say, let's go here at this time, at this place, you're not going to lead me anywhere, let alone to a first date. Yeah. So why am I going to take my time out of my day to give you a date when I have to plan it? Like, if I'm already doing that for myself, I can go take myself on a date and have, not have to deal with somebody that can't make that decision, and so I'm still experiencing a lot at this time and the thing that's been said a lot lately is like masculine energy and feminine energy. Like I'm fully, because I have to be in my masculine energy. I have to take care of myself. I have to, do everything on my own, take my car to get fixed, pay for my bills, all of that, which we would identify as, manlier things.
Paint something up, fix something in the house,
anything,
in the apartment.
Exactly.
Call the landlord up.
I'd mount my TV. I do all of these things.
That's pretty good.
And so
I've been looking at the mounts like, how does this go in the wall?
Eric's like, I hire people to do that.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
exactly.
Hey, homie, come through and do this. I'll give you like $10.
Yeah, right. And so it's like I'm already doing all of those things. And so it's kind of like I have this A-type energy. I have this A-type personality, this alpha. So it's like I don't want to be in that. I want to have somebody come in and be that manly man to say, I'll take care of X, Y, and Z. Not necessarily bills and doing all of those things, just saying like I can be someone that can make a decision. Because in the end, I'm not dating to date. I'm dating to marry. And so if you can't lead me to a first date, how are you going to lead me anywhere? I'm like, that shouldn't be me saying, oh, can we please meet at this time? I like this place. Like if you say, hey, these are the two options I found at this time, let's do this. If you're free on Wednesday, that's even more attractive.
Yeah. You like the options that they give you though. Yeah. So if you let them lead and they're like, hey, let's go eat here. You're like,
Oh, you saw Cheesecake Girl.
I haven't seen that, but this is what I've experienced. So they'll be like, oh, hey, what about here? And I'm like, sitting there like, yo, let's go to Haven City. Because I'm like, I don't know what you like. And I'm not, sometimes it's like, hey, let's go there for the first time. They're like, Haven City, though?
Well, everybody's like,
what are you trying to do?
Fleming's? Right, right, like Nobu.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, well, I'm sure you can attest, like, LA dating is different from out here in the IE. At least what I've experienced.
Right, you got Paul Martins, you got Fleming's, you got Haven City.
I don't know any of those.
None of those, right? But just LA is just, at least what I experienced in LA, it was always
very
like
transient.
It's, you have everyone's a model,
make it or break
everyone's this, right?
Yeah. Everybody's from somewhere.
Everyone's aspirational.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's no one has a car. Like
no one.
No one has a car, no one this. So it's like I remember going out on something, it was always like this, you know, they'll say, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm an engineer." And they're like, "Oh, like at what studio?" And I'm like, "What?
Studio.
I do like real calculations."
Like I'm smart.
I don't think you know. But it was always like this LA feel was just it's fast paced, or it's like you need to be flashy. You need to have this, like you almost need to have this best date plan.
Right.
Like, yo,
Well,
we need
and
to
it's
go to
what I
this
found
and
is
that.
it's always I'm always thinking about moving home or having to move to a new city. Like I know people from LA, and I'm like, oh man, you still live at this place? Like, oh no, I left that 6 months ago. I'm now over here with da da da.
Yeah.
And so that idea of being with someone that's like maybe back in Kansas next month, or maybe moving back to the
Right.
IE or whatever, that
Yeah.
you're just like, so I think geography definitely has a big part to play. I think here's what I heard, because I think it's interesting. Like in your case, Allie, you say like it's been 8 years since I had a serious relationship, and I think people have to put that in context to what you just said, which was you're dating to marry, which means you have the right boundaries. Because I was just talking with a teenager, and if she's listening to this, she'll know who it is, who's 18 years old, and she said, "I want to get a boyfriend." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because I'm bored." And I want someone to text at night, and I want someone
That's
to
what
go
I
out
don't
on
want.
dates.
Get a puppy.
Yeah, right. So I think a lot of people in there, because you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
Eric, you're in your 40s.
Whoa, hey, bro, you're in the 30s, man.
You're in the 30s still.
See, don't try to put me. I'm not stuff out here.
No, I
Like,
thought
hey,
you were.
you're
I
like
thought
the, you're the oldest
your
person.
brother-
I'm
your
the
brother's
oldest
in his
person here.
40s.
Yeah.
40s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you're-
mean, they're both older than me. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, both are.
You're
Yeah,
the
you're the
youngest.
youngest. Yeah. Okay, so you're still in your 30s.
That's right.
Sorry, bro.
That's all good.
How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay.
Don't do that.
When's your birthday?
It's in March.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
you're
okay,
almost
okay.
there.
I'm
You're
almost
almost
there.
40. We're gonna
Rude.
celebrate.
It's all good.
No, I
Celebrate.
mean that's. I think that's a
When is it?
privilege.
March 16th.
Oh, okay.
So, you guys
So
gonna give me something?
talking
Yeah,
to
we
it,
will.
yeah, I'll get you
We'll
something.
remember 6 days.
Tell you.
6 days after
Potentially.
Thomas. 6
I
days
was
after
gonna say,
Thomas's
yeah,
birthday.
no
Yeah.
commitment.
Yes.
But talking to most people who may be dating, maybe listening to this, they may be in their 20s or whatever, and there's
Yeah.
always this idea that time's running out, I'm wasting my time, I need to find somebody
Biological
ASAP.
clock
and-
is ticking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, right? And so you have the 19-year-old, the 20, 21, like, I need to settle for someone or just get into a relationship, which is probably the one you had came out of, Allie, because you were a teenager when you first got in it.
Yeah, sure was.
So then now being 8 years out of that, you're now in your 30s, and it's almost like, well, I had a season where I played boyfriend, played girlfriend, did all the travel together, all yada yada, and
Right.
it didn't result in anything.
Right.
Which then more so now has made your standard raise. But some people would say, well, she has too high of a standard.
Sure.
Because they're not putting it in a Christian perspective
Yeah.
or a convictions. But like, what would you just say to someone that just goes, Allie, it just seems like you just have an unrealistic, too high standard. It just,
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess.
What is your standard? What would you say is...
you need to settle for someone at some point. Like someone may say
and I
that,
think-
right? Like,
well, and I think a lot of it comes back to that kind of security in myself, security in Christ, security in where I kind of see my future. And so I would start by saying, like, in my late 20s, I was like, oh my God, I'm turning 30. Oh my God, I'm still single.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I still don't have anybody I'm even remotely interested in.
I want to have
And
kids. I want to have a family.
I want to have
yeah.
kids. I want to have a family. And I think after I hit 30 and even like today, the singleness has kind of grown on me. I realized I've learned a lot about who I am and what my preferences are and what I am willing to kind of accept in a relationship. And then also there's things that have changed. So it's like, yeah, my standards are high, but if, 3 out of the 6 are ticked, I'm, going to go on a date and see, how it goes. But even that, I feel like just who I've become has changed drastically, like where I see myself in my future. And so now I'm not in a rush at all, which is crazy because at 27, I'm like, oh my God, I have to hurry up. And now that I'm 31, I'm like, I'm not settling for anything. Like, I feel like it's getting worse or better, however you want to view it. But it's like, at one point I was like, oh, I'll settle for this or I'll settle for that. And now I'm like,
man.
you know, I've come this far. I trusted God this far, you know, and I feel like.
because you were dating a couple people and you're like, I'll ignore
couple
that.
at once?
No, just maybe.
I remember
got
8
it, like,
years,
yeah.
8 years.
Where you were like, maybe I'll settle, and you're like, I'll ignore that, and we're
Yeah.
like, you're what?
Yeah.
You're what? And Adam and
Yeah.
I would have those conversations. Adam would be like, wait, what? And so we'd have those random things where we're like, no, don't settle at this point because you've gone
exactly.
so long with having this expectation for yourself and for your future. So yeah, so,
And even that, like,
and it wasn't a negative thing. They were red flags.
Well, and I've come to accept my singleness. You know, I've come to accept this time, and I think I kind of cherish it more and value it more because I know it's not forever. I know that eventually I will find somebody that's perfect for me. But even that, like, I talk to you all the time, and she's like, I'm tired. I have 2 kids. You know, I have to, you know, deal with my husband.
It's not as white picket fence
know.
as people
Yeah.
make it
Well, exactly.
seem.
And
you know?
I go home
Yeah.
every day at 6 o'clock. I get into bed and, you know, or I
Watch
watch
TV.
TV
Wow.
or,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, I don't
a wrap.
answer to anybody. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able to do that forever. So why not value that and not take that for granted now because I won't be able to do that forever. And so there's certain things that I've come to accept and realize, but even that, I'm like, yeah, they say the biological clock. I'm like, even that, like, I'm starting to give everything to God in regards to, like, if I'm not supposed to have kids, say it's, you know, another 10 years until I meet somebody, which
God forbid.
Lord, don't
hear
do
me.
it.
I'm saying this, but you know, it's like if kids, I'm like, I have nieces and nephews, you know, I'm like, I have a lot of love in my life that if that's not even for me, then it's not for me, you know? And so I think a lot of these last couple of seasons for me have been just learning about who I am and what I'll accept and kind of where I want to go next. And I feel like whenever I meet somebody, I will kind of just know. You know, and I know that that's kind of hard to understand, but I feel like I'll just know, and I
Yeah, I
haven't
get
felt
that. I was like
feeling.
that when I met Ashley. Yeah.
Well, and even
Yeah.
that,
On
like
the
I
first
feel.
date, you knew?
I
was
knew,
it,
right?
like,
I
first
knew. Well,
interactions?
obviously, I still had to do some investigatory stuff and,
Yeah.
and
Make sure she
you know,
wasn't crazy.
cross some stuff. But
I
I,
gotta look that up later.
yeah.
I said, what?
But I knew after the first date that if all intents and purposes everything played out the way
Yeah.
that I had saw in her
Yeah.
and nothing caught me off guard, that this would be the girl that I would marry. If all of a sudden, like if like second, third date, I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then when we actually newly got married, there were some things that because our friends went through some you know, really bad adultery and stuff like that. Some of fears came out from her from previous relationships. But had that come out in the dating scene, we would have never made it.
Yeah.
Because that's like the stuff you guys were saying, that insecurity, red flag.
Right.
When we were dating, you know, we
were very honest,
If Ashley,
open.
you know, and if I'd suggest something, you know, hey, maybe you should do it like this or whatever, she'd be like, yeah, I'll try it. I'm like, man, it's a great woman. Like
Yeah.
she, you know, like,
She
hey,
doesn't
do you
do
feel
that
like
anymore.
Yeah,
She's
right.
like, it's my way or the highway.
I got him.
Yeah. So there were a lot of great stuff like that. I was like, okay. I don't think that's for everyone, but
Yeah.
but for me, I approached it a little more to where Allie's at right now. I very much approached it very logical, very much on paper. You know, I wasn't looking for a Disney story.
No.
You know, I wasn't looking for a fairy tale prince and princess and I rescued her. You know, a lot of people nowadays play, according to psychology standards, they play the Prince Charming and the rescuer, right?
Yeah.
You have a girl or guy that's in trauma, and then someone swoops in, and then they become their healer and their rescuer, and then they fall in love and they get married.
Right.
But what they don't realize is it becomes a very toxic relationship because the person that's in trauma is always looking for the person who saved them to consistently save them. And then the person who did the saving gets absolutely drained because they never get affirmed and loved.
For sure.
It's just the person saying, save me every day.
Right.
And believe it or not, I would say like 1 out of every 3 couple
Right.
is
Yeah.
dealing with that scenario.
Yeah.
The rehab. They're trying to
Yeah.
rehabilitate
And I call it the Romeo and Juliet effect.
Yeah.
And I see
Yeah.
young people happen all the time. Like the moment you tell 2 young people, hey, you guys aren't made for each other.
Yeah.
It's called the Romeo and Juliet syndrome. They start convincing each other,
Yeah.
the world's out against us. We're in love.
Get together,
Yeah.
girl.
Let's both
Yep.
die on an altar together. You know, it's like, that's what it becomes.
Right.
And then they get married.
Yeah.
And then they hate each other. because they convince themselves our family hates us,
Yeah.
our mom hates us, our dad hates us, our friends hate us. It's us against the world. We can do this alone. And no relationship can exist alone. That's the unhealthiest thing you could do, period, in a relationship.
Right.
So that dating, having a logical approach to dating with a significant amount of boundaries and standards and what you're looking for. I mean, if I had never met Ashley, I would have been convinced I could have gone a decade or so or whatever. Just Ashley was convinced she'll never marry. When we met, she had like,
That was good.
she had told me probably second or third date, like, I really like this relationship. I'm open to it, but I have had every intention to, like, what was it? Go work at a cruise ship or work at an airline stewardess
cruise
or
ship.
something.
I was
You're
gonna
like,
work on a cruise
you're
ship.
like, I'm just,
Disney
and you're
cruise.
like, I'm gonna just go be single and work at a cruise ship and be Princess Tiana
She
for the
never
next
told
10
me
years.
that. I would not allow her to do that.
Be a tall Tiana.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was doing that in the
the only black
airlines.
one
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah.
guess so.
So then I would ask then, because you guys are in the dating scene, how, because some people probably are listening and some people are probably figuring that this is something I'm probably going to try and get out in the dating field and that's what I want to do. And do you guys have anything negative against online dating?
Oh yeah. No, I don't. I've done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
what-
just
but
wanted to
tell
go.
me. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit that, but I was just wanted to go back to even what Allie was just responding.
By the
back
way,
to
are you
too.
drink? I don't want to call you out, but are you drinking a pinkity drinkity from Starbucks?
He definitely
It's called a
is.
pink drink.
The pinkity drinkity.
I don't call it that.
Hey, no
that,
shame.
that goes to show that he has
Listen,
a
bro.
sensitive slang.
Yeah, you're doing this to
about
try to
this.
find a girl. Because I was
Girl,
listening,
you
my
need a
man's
pink
got
drink?
that milk pink drink.
pink drink.
Hey.
Well,
Hey.
when he sent that to Nancy, I said, no, he
You could be. You
didn't.
could be.
I could have put hot chocolate, but I was like, no,
No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
That's
no,
worse.
But
you're
then that
right.
goes with people. Anyway.
You're gonna be 40 next year. You grown.
I'ma stop.
Make your grown man decisions, bro. You at the age that you don't care about no one's outside
I'm good,
opinion.
bro. Like it made me forget what I was about to say. To what Allie was saying, though, it's, I think a lot of people rush into, like you were saying, like I've been in a few relationships like that of just like people are like, oh man, E, you're getting older. This is like when I'm like 28, 29, 30. And I'm like, oh man, you're right. So I just make something happen, and then I'm sitting in it like, the heck am I in this?
Yeah.
And now you're sitting there like, I need to get up out of this. I need like an exit strategy, right?
Yeah.
And so you're hoping they mess up. I hope they mess up so I can get out of this.
Give me a red
That's
flag,
it, girl.
please.
I see. I told you. I gave you one last chance.
yeah.
You didn't go with it. But I think
Please give me a red flag.
Right. But I think it comes from.
Yeah.
I'll say it like this: like the enemy, you know, if he can't destroy you, he'll distract you, right? And a lot of times, I think a lot of us feel as if I'm not in something, then I'm nothing. So a lot of people will always be like,
Yeah.
"Man, Eric, you seem like a great guy. Like, why aren't you married?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's a great question.
Right,
I've been
right.
asked that on dates, and even when the girls ask that, I
And
always
they're,
say,
and
well,
they're trying to convince him that maybe something's wrong with him.
right.
If he's not
So
Right,
they're
married.
trying to get to.
I
Like,
would be closer with him if he was in a second marriage right,
Right.
now. I would give him
I
a
get that all the time.
Well, so
Yeah.
even when girls ask me that, I always say, well, the same thing of why I'm not married is why you're not. And
Yeah.
it's like whatever that reason is.
Yeah.
But I think that's where people fall at. Is like you're like, oh, I feel like I should be in something now, and you kind of rush the process, right?
Right.
And you try to push. You try to like.
I mean, I don't rush.
well, you try to make something happen, right? So
Right.
some people have gone into.
You're saying like in the
relationships just
past, if
yeah,
that was
yeah, in
At
the
least for me,
past,
I
for
have.
sure.
Yeah.
So there's been some. Sorry if you're out there. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, I don't know about this anymore.
Yeah.
And like I think it's going into what you're saying, boundaries, right? Of like, hey, do people have values? So like I know sometimes now when I sit down, it's always like, hey, I'll ask a girl like, hey, what are your values? And sometimes they're like this.
What's that?
You mean like family and stuff? I'm like,
Yeah.
keep going. That's a start. Yeah, that and
That's
some
a
more.
start.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
a great start.
Right, and I'll usually start there of like, because, you know, there's a book, I've read, some of my mentors are giving books like Boundaries in Dating.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great book, but you're like, it's kind of long. But it's still, you start realizing,
The
okay.
Henry Cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start, you're like, all right, what
just be
let's do with these
writing
boundaries?
and
Just
write,
give my
yeah.
list.
Yeah.
But I think that's when you start realizing like, oh, what actually is important to me? What are my values?
Yeah.
Because what stuff am I going to live my life off of? So then when
Right.
they're like, when girls have been like, so like, hey, how saved are you? And I was like this. What do you mean by these questions?
Right.
Because they're trying to figure out like, yo, like, I mean, something's going to happen, right? Like, we can still do some stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They're like, I'll
Right,
go to
they're
church
trying
on Sunday, but are you going on Wednesday
Right,
too?
well, they're saying-
and
they're
tithing
meaning
and
more-
reading your Bible.
No,
but
they're
I
meaning
know
more
what you're
like,
saying. Like,
right.
yeah, are you
They're
gonna
like,
go?
so like, are we
yeah.
not gonna have no sex?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, nah, we're not. And they're like, that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
And this is like girls
I
at the church.
I've
No,
met.
I'm not saying
I
this
have
church.
met.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
No,
I have
right.
met
Some other churches.
I have met
that's
Christian
fine.
girls
Yeah.
and Christian guys that the person they were dating in the church wouldn't have sex with him, and that's why they broke up with him.
Yeah.
And these
But
people go to church every day.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Right.
But you learn that from the
They- yeah.
beginning, because if
Yeah,
I
it's
tell you
bad
this from
habit.
jump,
Yeah.
it's like, but if a
Right.
guy says it first, then there are
he's-
some women that will press, right?
Yeah.
There are
Right.
some that will give full court press, and you're like, you're gonna answer the door like this?
No,
With
yeah,
the robe
I'm
on?
aware of that. Yeah.
What is this?
With the robe on,
Joseph moment.
calling
I
it
need
a
to get out of
movie
here,
night, right?
Netflix and
Potiphar's
chill.
wife is here.
Netflix and chill.
But I think that's, and you know, to what you're saying, if you have those boundaries set, so if you go online, it's a whole nother. People are like hiding stuff. I should say, some people might be. Some people are straight up. This is how I am, and some people are not.
Yeah.
So it's like I've done. Only thing is just hilarious because you get there and you're like this. Hey yo, your hair was not this long on the picture, or it wasn't this short, or your size is. I don't say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
your
yeah.
size is. You're more
You got your high
full
school
figure
photo.
now
Yeah.
than you were in
Yeah.
that picture that you posted.
You're just
Just like-
duping.
right.
Yeah.
Duping for a
And
reason.
I think
you know.
there's, if you know, I'm sure it works for other people, right? I think it's like everything. I think because how you guys met is going to be different than everyone else's relationship.
100%.
So when everyone feels like I should do it like Adam and Ashley, or I should do it like, because like my parents, they met in June and were married in November the same year.
Yeah, yeah.
Brian and
Wow.
Crystal, they got together, met like
Your
August. Right, my brother and his wife, August, and by the next year in April, they're married. So I'm like this. Hey, do I have these powers too? Like, do I have these
Some
powers?
blood,
now?
like,
right.
But it's like he's like, hey, you got to figure out. Like, I think my parents were always like, hey, when everyone puts their cards on the table, I'm like, this is what I got.
Right.
This ain't no go fish or nothing. Like, this is everything here. So if you don't like the cards, then I'll pick them up and I'll leave. Versus someone's like, well, I don't like these cards, but these other ones are good. And they're like,
Right.
all right.
Right.
well.
And as long as he's willing to change those 3 cards
Right.
and make that
Right.
promise, then we can go to the next step.
So
yeah.
it's, I mean, online, it's I mean, I talked to a girl the other day in Target. So I'm like, I'll make something happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's still
You're
like,
a social butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave me the smile, and I was like, well, look, let's go for it. She gave
Where's
me
my
the,
super suit?
You had your super suit on. How'd it go? How'd it go? Did you get a first date or?
We'll see. It's like,
Okay.
it's one of
You
those,
got like a little tactic.
you
huh?
get it. I mean, but that's, I always say, it's, you can get a number all day, but it's like, are they Christian?
So
Do
now
they
you got to
love the
start
Lord?
investigatory,
Yes.
Gosh, these words. Good. grief.
investigating.
That word is horrible.
We need a
thesaurus.
Andy,
the
you're in
source
our
and a book,
episodes
right?
about this.
Yes.
Right.
But I think that's the challenge is like, what? So if I meet a girl at the gym, right? Doesn't matter where I'm at. You could talk to whoever, but if they're like, my big stuff is like, hey, I don't like cussing. So if a girl's cussing when I first meet you, I'm like,
You don't like a potty mouth.
potty mouths, no.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, right? It's
Right.
I
like
get what you're
right.
saying.
I try to use whatever
There's
stuff
certain
is going
things
to
that
help me like
yeah.
filter out. So sometimes my brother taught me this tactic. He's like, hey, sometimes when you're meeting someone, you might be like, hey, so what do you usually do on Sunday? Or what are you doing this weekend? If you don't say church
Right.
or serving, I'm going to be like,
That's on the dating site. It always says like your typical Sunday. And if I
Really?
don't see church, I'm like,
so it's like, so then you're
That's
online too, right?
okay.
So it's like,
so I've been.
which one are you
I
on?
don't date, but I'm online because nobody asked me out. So like I'll
Oh,
match with a
Lord.
couple of people, and I feel like I might be giving.
Wait. Hold on.
right? Yeah. I'm like,
You're
this-
telling me you're on the app.
Yeah.
so you haven't gone out. on any dates.
You're accessible.
Uh huh.
And no guy's ever tried. Hold
Going
on.
back to what I said
What
is
kind of
that
pictures you got on
I
there?
think that
Show me.
her survivor picture.
I don't even bring that up. because I'm
makeup,
like, there's
no.
there's two.
Her on Sunday like this.
Right. And they're like, nah.
No,
prayer
it's
warrior,
like
No,
I'm
oh,
good.
gosh.
It's my typical. It's my
no.
typical pictures that I have on Instagram or anywhere. But it's like, I don't know, and this could come off as like speaking highly of myself, but I don't know if they think that I'm duping them. Like,
Let's do a profile
Gotcha.
audit. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
see
my
one.
phone's in my purse.
Somebody get her
Yeah,
know, I was about
first.
to
it's
be
in
like,
the
We're gonna
Gucci
do a-
right
we're gonna
there.
do a
The
live-
But
white
no,
one.
that's
live
a real
profile
thing
audit.
because, like, let's say
I don't know anything
I-
about this
but
world. This can be the first
put
dating
my-
app I've ever
I
opened.
put my
'Cause they didn't
Instagram on
exist when
there
I met
to, like,
Ashley.
show like I'm a real person, but like,
But
I've
no.
only seen people.
What's
I've
the
been-
main go-to?
what do you mean?
Like,
the
what's the
name?
main dating app go-to?
Oh, Hinge is supposed to be best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the best quality
Yeah.
people?
I've
You
used
got
Hinge.
Hinge?
I got rid of my
You
accounts.
heard great story about Hinge? Oh,
You been on
okay.
Hinge, Nancy?
That sounds like she's on there.
Oh, you're not on anything?
You're not on
You're a
anything?
ghost.
But I'm not using it.
Okay,
Nancy's a
okay.
ghost.
Okay, go ahead.
right, let's see.
Have at it.
All right, Is this everything? Is
Yeah,
everything
this is
I
my
would
page.
see? Okay.
This is my page.
Did you need to brighten it up?
I know. She's trying to save on that battery.
Okay, nice car selfie in number 1. This is the view that I would view if I. Okay. So my mantra is love Jesus.
Right? That's number 1.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, but it could be a fake one.
Pull yours out. Pull yours
I
out.
don't have mine anymore.
Stop it.
I stopped it.
Re-download it. Log in.
I know.
I need to see it. I need to see it.
I said something
And then-
similar.
Just
I
do
said
it on
something
And then
similar,
I
but
immediately put my Instagram to show like I'm a real person.
Okay, her Instagram's right there. Ali from Cali, age 31, 5'9". Might be a little intimidating for some guys.
they're
The 5'9" height right away.
5'7".
That just you
you know,
know.
if they're 6
This
feet.
is how tall
like
I am.
me.
How is that intimidating?
Do you live by the whatchamacallit? They got to be
gosh.
over 6 feet.
Yes, I'm 5'9".
Okay. Well,
Well,
all
they
right.
could be 5'10".
Okay.
Though. Your blessing is at 5'10", and you are
When I wear
blessed.
heels, I am 6 feet.
That's intimidating for
Just
a
wear
guy because
shorter
they
heels.
immediately gonna be like, oh, she's that girl that wants an over 6
She
feet
just-
guy, lives in Central LA.
got a lot of- do you get a
don't
lot of
have
followers?
children. You get followers on Hinge?
No, followers on your
Oh.
Instagram.
She has a good
So
amount.
since you have that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there-
So
yeah.
some guys
From
do
so-
follow me
from
on there.
survivor.
And then,
Children.
Yeah.
Okay. Has your career, has your university you went to, says you're a Christian. Okay. First picture, pool day. Okay. Second picture, pool day. All right. Third picture, Miami-ish. Is that Miami? Okay. So like, okay, she's a traveler.
Like,
but, you know,
and one of them's a workout picture to show that I work out.
okay.
And what are my other
The one thing you
prompts?
should know about me, my faith and family are most important to me. I identify as a multifunctional person. I don't have any idea what that means.
I don't either.
Read
what
it.
does that mean?
Continue.
We all know how to-
Continue.
I can be the okay.
Yeah.
I can be the active gym rat, be at church on Sundays, be at the bar till 2 a.m.
There it
binge
is.
watch.
Be like the party animal.
Yeah, you're too Christian for the party guys, and you're not Christian enough for the Christian guys.
She's like, you know, I like to dance on the tables. If the Lord
Binge watch
leads me,
for
I will
hours,
dance on
order
that table.
takeout.
Dance
I'm
for
just
him.
saying that I could be.
Gym picture. Yeah,
We
no, I
don't
get
do
it.
it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
all
my
around.
personality.
Okay.
Nancy
I
will
would
go
ha-
dancing with you till
Oh
2
yeah,
a.m.
Ali.
That's what I'm
I'll see you
saying.
next time.
Yeah, Nancy's
what I'm
going with
saying.
you.
I don't dance. Up
Listen, I need you to do this right now, Eric. You need to log in yours.
when you delete your account, it's not there anymore.
You
It-
have
like,
to
it
make a
just-
whole new one.
I'm not doing all that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on
Yeah.
now. That's like too
Okay,
much.
then remember, what did it say? Tell me.
What do you have though?
So
do you
did you-
have something?
Did you
I
have
got
like?
rid of it.
You got
because-
you don't got Christian
you
Mingle.
know,
You don't
here's
got
the thing.
Farmers
So you
Direct.
had like
Here's-
did you have
here's-
your
here's a good
computer?
reason,
because
Did you
there
have
was-
your computer with you working diligently, and then it had a cross right there?
It's a good profile. I don't know what. You know,
I put, but like you said, I put some pictures from my
me see. I've
Instagram
never
on
seen
there.
yours. Let me see.
But it was always like, I think I would call out in there
that's
and just
pretty.
say, hey, this is what I'm about. Let's say I'm about faith, family, fitness, finances, and freedom or something, right?
Yeah.
And I say, hey, this is who I represent. I serve. I'll put that on there, and I'll be like, hey, if this is not what you're down with, don't message me. I think I get
Yeah.
some messages, but
And then you got some
But it's-
selfies in there,
it's-
some family photos, Sunday church
I have,
outfit
'cause
photos.
I want them to see, but that's on the same thing on my Instagram though. Like,
That's
if
a-
I go on
yeah.
someone's Instagram, there's just selfies all day. I'm always like, one of my friends, he calls them lonelies. He's like, man, look at all those lonelies, and I'm like, ugh.
Is he,
When you-
but is he in a
This
relationship?
is
Is he
this is like a OG person because
okay.
it's
He could
one
say
of those
that.
things
He
you
could
think
say
about identity, right?
Gotcha.
And so if I ever look at, sometimes when I get a girl's Instagram, I'm always like this. Let's see, how many I'm counting them. I'm like, if it's more than 50%, I'm like, are they into themselves? Because girls will say that about a guy being narcissistic. I'm like, well, how many photos of yourself do you need to not be? There's just little stuff I think of when I meet someone. I'm always like this. Let's check out the IG. Okay.
Well,
You
then
try to see if
also,
anything's crazy.
also it could show you too that they do look the same in every picture.
Right.
You're not being catfished.
That's good.
Not being
But-
catfished.
Or it
So-
could have a filter on it.
But let me see though if someone has a Hinge and you're
That's
looking.
good, Ashley.
So okay, Allie,
Yeah.
She's consistent
you
with the
go on a
angles.
guy's Hinge profile.
Yeah.
What standout things are you looking for on the profile that would move it to you exchanging your numbers? Is that what you do, or you DM them
You
on
like
it? Or?
you
You
match,
message 'em.
and if they don't match you back, then
Okay,
you
okay.
never know.
Okay.
So it's matched together.
So
So if I
Like,
like,
is this the
well, 'cause
one
aren't
where you
there-
swipe right?
so no, so that's
No.
so I'm not on. That's Tinder.
That's Tinder. That's hookup.
That's
stuff.
hookup.
Bumble
Tinder's where it's
also
at,
is.
though.
So I'm also
That's
on
hook-
Bumble, and Bumble's too like widespread for me. Like it's just like
Hookup
everywhere.
Central.
It's kinda
No,
crazy.
no, no, no.
Oh.
I hear good things about Bumble. I actually know a lot of people, more people recently meeting people on Bumble than Hinge.
Okay.
But it's just like it will show you anywhere. So it's like where I
Yeah.
am, where like I can keep Hinge in Central LA, which is where I live.
Yeah.
Where like right now it'll
Oh,
say that I'm
okay.
in Rancho, and so it'll match me with random people wherever I am.
When's the last time you went on a date from? You went on none.
No,
Guys,
not-
right now scrambling in
So-
Rancho to go on Hinge. Sorry, guys.
You got to
We did this episode weeks ago, guys.
Are you using the free account?
Of course,
You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go drive to Hollywood
When
and
I did
Highland.
a little pay account, so that's when
Okay.
the girls change. The girls change when I pay that money. I said, oh,
So you're
that's
not
probably
investing.
why.
here we
I'm not
go.
You're
investing
not
in it.
I said,
investing.
okay, we're in the promised land.
So it would
And
be
so-
because you're paying because you're taking it more seriously.
Right, and so I went on some dates. They were interesting, but it's like,
I paid for him.
yeah, I was like stuck on this date. But
What
it's
a
so
wild
it's
world.
No.
that
It
was,
sucks.
but I still do. I do in person. Usually, my game is more like, hey, if I meet you, if I come across you, I make it happen then.
Yeah.
Online was just extra. I'm like, well, a little extra help doesn't hurt.
Well, especially because of COVID. I got back on it.
COVID's
Well,
been
I've
over
been
for,
on
like,
and
a
off
long
of it.
time.
No, but I'm saying like when I was 27, COVID started. When COVID finished, it was like 30. So I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm
Yeah.
not meeting people.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody would like to do it organically, but that's not always.
Well, that's my
situation.
philosophy. Is there's like you're gonna historically the Tinders, the Bumbles, all that like kind of existed for that late 20s, 30s person who's just like got a career, friendship circle small, but like
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised that 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds start using it
Yeah.
because there's no town hall that exists anymore.
Right.
Majority of kids are going to college online now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people meet their future spouse at
And a
college.
lot of people are just socially awkward
Yeah.
now. So it's like they don't know how to speak to people in person, in public. Like,
Well, you
They
think
are.
of the average 19-year-old, they spent anywhere between 3 to 4 years in isolation, which is
Right.
basically from 15 to 19.
We're talking about the
Just like
30-year-olds.
this is your
some issues, too.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
were in their late 20s who went through it.
Yeah.
And so, like anyone who didn't have, that's why Christianity and any social circle, like any social religion, works to your benefit to go through times like this, or even the world we exist
Right.
today, which there's no town hall that exists except for if you are religious.
Right.
There was a statistic that just came out this week that a university just did that wasn't even Christian, and they said due to the decline of church attendance, it has been directly correlated that suicides have increased because church attendance has decreased. There's a complete,
Yeah.
and this was a secular university who did the study. There's a complete correlation.
Wow.
So you could say, oh, is it because they were Christian? That could be an element, like salvation
Right.
or whatever.
Or
Or it
there's
could
the
also
community.
be the system of
Yeah.
Christianity that is communal, that is community, that also has hurts and hang-ups and yada, yada, yada. But like everything that has made the church grow to what it is today since since 2,000 years ago, the beauty of it is the social aspect of community, looking out for each other, covering each other, getting to meet someone that has similar values. You have a springboard right away. Like that's what was great with meeting Ashley was I went, Instagram really wasn't a huge thing in 2013, early 2013 when I met her. It was more like where you would go to add filters on your photos and
Right.
post them on Facebook or wherever else. And so I went to her Facebook, and her Facebook was her college life. And there was like a lot of like, this is not a girl I'm used to. I'm used to dating, right? Like
The wild stuff.
all her favorite music. It was listed
Yeah.
Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg and blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Minister 2 Chainz.
yeah. I'm like, man.
Love
Yeah,
my two
yeah, yeah.
chains.
Right?
I was like, this
That's your
is
stuff.
not a girl that I would be used to giving
Yeah.
like a chance to.
right.
but it really wasn't. But I knew her parents, who were really godly people and incredible, served
Yeah.
elders and deacons in the church. So it's like, okay, well they can't have produced a totally
Tom
way
is
worse,
too
you know,
far. Tom
like
is cool. He's on point.
like yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that
So,
was even, but when
I'm
we
like,
even went on
okay.
our first date, though, like it was, you asked me a lot of questions, and I was, besides
Yeah, I
music,
just said,
wasn't,
I was like, hey,
yeah,
you don't
besides
have to feed me the BS.
Yeah.
Like I may be a youth pastor, but like,
Right.
I've heard it all.
Tell me like it is, like, and then that's when you went into like, because at first you're like, yeah, I like Kirk Franklin, and I asked you like,
No,
what kind of
Ste-
music do you like? And you're
Stevie
like,
Wonder was my guy.
Stevie Wonder,
which he still
no,
is.
and you said I listen to like majority worship.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
said
I
all
did.
that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that wasn't listed on her Facebook at all.
She was giving
you know
what you need to hear.
So then that's why
Second date,
an hour,
you gotta get to number 2.
an
She's
hour
like,
into it, I'm like, hey, you,
keep it together.
Yeah. I'm just like, hey, you could keep it 100 with me, like, you know, like whatever you say is not going to be a deal breaker. I'm looking at who you are today.
Right.
That's what I care about.
Right.
And so she's like, no, I mean, yeah, and I, you know, my latest relationship was just at the top of this year and kind of went more into the skeletons in the closet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I like that. I like someone who kept it real and
let's go in there.
you know, like, yeah, you have this Facebook profile, but it doesn't really match who you are today and what you want to become, and I can respect that. And now I could be open to see, hey, let's explore where this is going to go. You own your junk, you own your past.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm not insecure about it. I'm not going to be insecure about it. But that was the thing, is I met her at church. I knew her parents.
Right.
So there was an element where you're like, okay, you're sifting through. There's a value system. There's a town hall.
There's a
I met her in the
there's a
you
little
know.
background there though. Versus if you're just coming cold, you're like this.
Well, exactly.
Who knows you?
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's the issue.
That's what I'm saying. I can
Whatever,
imagine
whoever you
how
meet.
hard it is today. Like you go on Hinge or whatever, and they may even say church on Sundays,
Right.
but they could come from, you know,
So then you're
South
going to the
Alabama,
Instagram.
where that's a big deal to them,
Yeah.
going to church on Sunday, but yet they're like have horrible character,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but they go to church on Sunday.
Right.
So you there's like certain elements. There's no
Yeah.
town hall. So now like you're
Well-
even introducing these people to your friend group, and then you're like, okay, well, what's going to happen at this point?
No, that's good. I guess I'm thinking. So I mean, you go to Oasis. So like, what is that town hall like?
It's nice. It's no,
There's
it's
like
great.
A
It's
chuckle.
it's really great. I mean,
You're newer there though, right? Or would you consider yourself that now?
you've
Is it a
been there
year?
a year.
probably about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you involved? Are you serving?
No, not yet. I need to, but it's in Koreatown, so I'm still kind of. I just moved to like West Hollywood area, and so
LA
I,
people. It's
yeah.
always somewhere. And
And
you're
so-
like,
Still a little
"Where?"
bit of a journey.
Yeah, and I probably should. I think I looked at doing the children's church, but there's a lot because I'm.
But you
like,
do volleyball with them.
But I'm here.
Children's no joke, though.
But I'm here also. I travel a lot, so it's like I come out to ALFC. I go to see my mom, and so
Yeah.
it's like sometimes I'm not really there on Sunday. So it's just a commitment that I haven't really set yet. But no, I mean, Oasis is great. It's very, very diverse. Like I think even more diverse than here, which is amazing. Even last week at church was fun. I just a couple of my random friends that I have from LA. 2 guys, they were there, and so I hadn't seen them before, and so just running into people is great. In regards to like that dating aspect, just being outside, I haven't really met anybody there. But then also it's like, is it my doing? I go to praise and worship. I kind of like linger. I have a couple friends that are there, but it's like, I'm not really like,
You're not the extrovert that's going to be like, let's go make some friends.
Yeah.
well, and it's like, I still don't want to come off as like,
But then I got a
that-
question for this, because you
Yeah.
have a lot of single guy friends.
You don't want to be the pick-me girl.
yeah,
Right,
that,
right.
I'm like, I don't want to be that
What are you
weird
doing
girl.
after this? Are you
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
go? You want to get coffee and
Exactly.
read our Bibles together? I'm like,
I watch
Wow.
Netflix
No.
on Friday nights because nobody ever asks me to.
Right.
Well,
Okay. I
and
wish
even
that
that-
was me.
Yeah.
And even that, I'm like, nobody comes up to me either. So
Well,
it's like,
it takes 2 to
Yeah.
become friends.
Yeah,
yeah,
nobody
but I
comes
still
up to me
believe
either.
But there is a
Yeah,
stigma
yeah,
around
yeah.
girls just coming up and
But then I
you
gotta
know.
ask you this, because I know you have a lot of guy friends. There aren't any of your guy friends that are like, I have a good guy friend for you.
Nah, they
the
already
majority
know.
of my friends
Are
in
they
general
are they
are
in-
single.
Right.
Some,
I know.
mean, very few are dating, but I don't have in LA. I don't have any married friends unless
right.
they're coworkers.
So why wouldn't they? They don't have friends that are.
No. Actually,
I
I've
would've
never
met
asked
them.
this.
I'm sure they're gonna hear this at one point. But the reason that they are friends is that reason.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They tried to,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
they
Dang,
became
you friend
friends.
zoned them.
Of course.
What gets them
Yeah.
in the friend zone? What was the automatic?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Here, let me put you in this category.
I think there's a lot of immaturity. There's a lot of that happens, and then a lot of just having different values. The reason they're friends. They're not all of my friends are Christians. Not all of my friends believe what I believe.
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of different things. But even going back to what Adam said, like if I were to look at Hinge and say, what are my top, whatever, what am I looking for? I mean, usually it's obviously Christian. Because that makes everybody's life easier. 6 feet or taller.
Okay.
Do you have that in the? There's some girls that will put special comments like, if you're not 6 feet, do not message me.
Well,
I'm
and like
dang.
lately,
Well, she's gonna look at your profile and
No.
see the little.
Right.
but lately
Lose a
I've,
lie on
I've
that,
been
though.
getting
That's
a
huge.
lot of guys that like my page, and I'm like 5'5".
Oh,
Oh, man.
So like because I see those, I
That
want
guy could be
I
like
want
the
to
greatest catch of
I
your
want to like
life.
point out like in the comment, I want to put like just take another look. I am 5'9".
But for a guy,
But what
some
if they-
guys they don't
but
care.
you've been on-
They don't. You
there's
know,
been
like.
no, it's like.
But
see,
then
for me,
also usually those guys, I'm gonna go on to say like there has to be some attractive. Like if I think that he's cute, also I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe he's 5'10". I will talk to him because I think that he's cute. You know, so like there's certain things that I'm like, okay, you can't be.
When me,
honestly, you couldn't, babe, you couldn't have been 5'5". I would have been like, man,
Yeah, but
like-
this
still,
is
I mean,
like Kirk
wild.
Franklin.
I mean, but I am still shorter than you. Girl,
You are, but
so
like-
average girl would not give that a chance. You know, like so even to say 5'5", like I'm still an inch shorter than you.
Yeah.
So.
But it's an
Yeah,
inch,
not
but not
far.
5'5". That's like my
But she
mama's
said she
height.
wouldn't. She said she wouldn't even do a guy that was 5'9", 5'10".
She just
I said it-
she
I
was
said it
just
was
a
At the,
10.
at the beginning, you didn't. You
said
said
you did
sometimes.
say
I
that.
get,
I'm
but you're
31 now.
Exactly.
Her standards fell.
Yeah.
As soon as she passed 30, she's like,
But like I said, like
I
there's
guess I'll do
different
this height
things.
problem.
So it's like
Yeah.
all like there's certain things that stick, like
He puts his
Christianity.
head on her shoulder.
Yeah. But I'll
dancing.
give you this. I'll
He's
give you
like-
this.
he's like
I'll
this.
give you this. Stretching on what you're looking for, interested is different when you've
Yo.
met the person in a circle and you've grown to like them,
Right.
as opposed to just you have to make a decision off of what's on paper.
Of course.
Do they have friends?
Right.
And
then
you know,
ca- and
good head
then-
on
and
it.
then once we do match,
that's a
like-
tough call to because you're saying grow attraction based off what's paper,
Right.
which is not very natural.
Yeah,
like
no.
that doesn't
It's
really.
not easy.
You know, like that's why a lot of people get married in college. Like I remember this. Like when I was in college, the girls I dated, and then I came out of that bubble, and I would look back at them, I'd be like, I don't even find them attractive anymore. To me, they're not even just objectively attractive.
Yeah.
It's like because I'm in a small private
And you
Christian
got to
school.
know them, and yeah.
and then you start finding beauty. So I get that, and so. You know, because when me and Ashley got engaged, I had at least 4 women on different occasions in the church come up to me and go, "Doesn't
day
it doesn't
after
it
we got
bother you
engaged.
that she's taller than you?"
Literally the day after we got engaged.
As they were the same height as you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
They were like trying to throw
I know
some salt
one
in
woman.
that.
I told one woman one time, it bothers me that you even asked the question. That's what bothers me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's
It's
just
none
a
of your
very,
business,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Should have said, hey, little chicken, go over there.
right.
Well, I mean, I'm the
But I
tallest
got
girl
asked that
Adam's
a
ever
lot,
dated. So.
you know?
But that's,
Yeah.
but then that's
I mean,
I
You
think
never
that-
approached girls before Ashley that were taller than you.
No.
Well, I hadn't really
try?
even known many
She's
girls
just-
that were.
she's just
I
so
mean,
She's
tall.
ginormous.
I mean, any
I-
girl that's over 5'8" is a pretty tall girl. I mean,
Very.
it's,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
not
They're like 6'2"
Yeah.
or 6'3".
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
not as
I talked to
common.
a couple and
not.
I was like,
Yeah.
this is, my neck is hurting. What is this?
But sure, I mean,
I can't get with this. I said, how you gonna kiss me? Like, what is this?
are you gonna come down and kiss me? Are you gonna carry me over the aisle?
Put me in the car. Yo, that's not.
Maybe so.
But I
I
think
mean-
you just bring up the whole thing, like, what does dating look like at the church then, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
You're fine.
Messed up the dunks. So it's like, but I think that's the other question is like, how do people date at church? Which I think kind of going to what you had said of like, why I even got offline, because you had did a message that at the movies, part 2, when you're wearing the raincoat.
Yeah.
The raincoat.
The yellow raincoat.
The Bruce Lee joint.
Yeah.
That's
But
what I
you
was
had,
going
you had
for.
talked about how Mother Strong had said to you, like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, stop looking for a wife and you'll find one. And I remember even listening to that. I was there that day and I was like, crap. Like, I had just heard something else the night before from someone saying similar to me. And I was like, let me delete these. Because it was so
Yeah.
much, like, it's so much
You're on it. You're
consumes your
checking
mind.
in
And
you're
it's
what?
pressure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that you
Yeah.
consume your mind so much, and like I said, it goes back to then you start having these weird feelings of like your joy is taken. So right, you know, the thief of joy is comparison. So you start looking at everybody. Everyone looks at everybody. So it's like that's the whole problem with IG, everything else, because then like people that aren't married, they want to be married.
Right.
The people that are married, they're like wishing they had some type of independence time.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I still want to stay married, but that single life, man, enjoy your independence. The people that are married with no kids, they wish they could have kids because they're having, you know, miscarriages and whatnot. So the people with kids, they're like, these freaking kids, man.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's- you always have all this happening.
Right.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants the other person's kind of life
Yeah.
situation.
Right.
And I think that's what was happening to me. So I'm like, all right, let me get rid of this app and just be focused on, let me do the things that I'm supposed to be working on. And it's just like, hey, let me work on myself. Like you were saying, it's like a lot of people aren't doing that. It's like, hey, let me make sure my finances are on point. So when wifey does come, I'm like, hey, you don't have to be concerned with working.
Right.
If the time comes and kids come, like there's no rush.
Yeah.
Right. And so most people are like, hey, what are you doing in your singleness? I'm like, we're putting stuff together.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting here like, I wish I found someone. I'm sitting there like this. All right, let me make sure all the debts are paid.
Yeah.
Right.
School loans are done. Cars paid off.
Yeah.
House is paid off. All these things you start doing, or you can help other family members, right? So all of that stuff you start doing with that time, like you were saying, it's like the single time, that's actually I'm not sitting there like sulking being single. I'm like celebrating. Like people are like, what are you doing? Well, I'm probably about to go buy some sneakers.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go wash the car.
Well, that's like the Apostle
hit the
Paul in
gym,
Corinthians.
right?
He's like, man, I
Yeah.
wish all you all could be single, but because you burn with passion.
But most people don't
you
like
know,
that usually verse. They're always like, you say that to a single, they're like this.
Yeah.
You're married. That's why.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Right?
And we're looking at you. We're looking at you like,
And then they get married, and they're like, I should have took longer to decide if I should have married that person.
I shouldn't have
like,
settled.
So then it's all this craziness that's always happening. So I feel like it's usually kind of pushed more, right? So there's always this weird like push from people at the church of like, I don't know I'm single until I get to church. Because people remind me, I'll be chilling hard. I'll be like, man, I'm looking fly today. They're like, man, it's so sad that you don't have anyone. I'm like, thanks.
Or my dad going, I got someone perfect for you.
Your dad has done that like twice. And I was like,
Pastor
all right,
Diego,
let's
Pastor
see
He
what you
doesn't
got.
do that for me.
No, he does it to me for you. And I go,
You don't want him to.
Okay. All right.
he's done it before me. He was like, you don't think I go, oh, no.
Do people try to hook you up with people? Fix you up?
No, not here. No.
I tried a couple times with her.
So-
but
we did.
one of
Yeah.
which she was interested in, but then he ended up getting back with his ex or something like that. But
Well,
it's a good guy.
People will go to my mom, actually. People will go to my mom like, oh, I have so-and-so that would be perfect.
Here's my
Yeah.
offer.
Yes.
Are they worthy? And they're like, how much money they make?
I'm like, what's that
That, or
dowry?
then I go through their Instagram. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
Well, there's two things. No, I don't want to go into fun. I just
Something's happening.
but I did have a friend who was a pastor who went through a divorce and started to try to get with Allie.
Oh, yeah.
And it started making me
Holy
really,
moly,
really
yes.
upset because people liken my wife and Allie as twins. So I'm thinking, man, the whole time that you were my friend, did you have a thing for my wife? Because they like look exactly alike, you know? And we were in very much close proximity. Most people think they're pretty much twins, right? And so, you know, this is a close married friend. And then all of a sudden you immediately divorce, you start hitting up my wife's sister. Now I'm like, okay, the
He
time
just
you
slid
were
in the
joking
DM?
with my wife
DM.
was, you know, the time you're joking with my
DM
wife or
steady.
whatever, and you're hitting her shoulder, we've been out together as, you know, couples. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's this flirty thing. You know, you just now start playing back. You're like, hold on. So there are times where I will have friends that will say, hey, man, is your sister-in-law single? And there's a side of me that has to go, wait, have you been looking at my wife? And then there's another side that goes, bro, you ain't the one. It's not gonna work. And then they go, well, look, you got your wife, and look how gorgeous she is.
Well,
I'm
they're
like,
trying to-
totally different
if they're
circumstances.
for the
Don't blame me.
fence.
Don't
If you got
blame me.
game like me, go ahead, try. You know,
With
but it ain't gonna
with the
happen.
nice glasses
homie.
you got on today, I see that. Look, we're nice.
they're like
And
the-
we were still kids, you know, we
Yeah,
were still
we
early
were.
20s. Like, you know, I could come to my wife and be like, hey, I got a house, but I'm like barely affording it. And she could be like, oh, that's cute. You know, I couldn't be 33
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
hey, I'm trying to put
exactly.
my life
I'm
together.
living with my
Right.
mom
you
still,
know,
but I'm working on getting out. And you're
Right.
like
for
this.
sure.
Yeah.
What?
No.
So when I talk to my
I'm
friends
like, wait a
and I'm
minute,
like,
unmatched. Like,
Man,
no.
there's
But that happens a lot. I got friends either in ministry or guys I meet. They go like, bro, I ended up following your wife, and I saw she has a sister. Is she single? And
Well,
I'll
I
be
mean,
like, well, I mean,
Ashley put her out there though
she
one
is.
day and was like,
Oh, sure did.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh man, I was like, why you put her out there like that?
And to me, they both look completely different. Like
Yeah.
I
They're
only see family
There's
resemblance,
only
but
been
most people
one
tell me
one time that
you know.
Adam goes, "Oh, hey, babe," and it was in the office
This
because
was
her
just the other day.
literally the other day, because her back was to him,
Ooh.
and so then he was like,
I was wearing all of her clothes.
all my clothes, literally my whole wardrobe.
Did you turn around and kind of like?
I didn't even notice. I was just like, I went to give him a hug, like, hi, Adam. And
oh
he was
yeah,
just
it's like, well, and I was done preaching, so your
Yeah.
brain is like mush at
Mush.
that point.
But when
you
we
know?
first got married, them two could not stand next to each other in the courtyard.
Oh,
Really?
They could not
because
because
people would think that was
they'd be like, "Oh, hi, Ashley,"
and she's like, "I will not be affiliated with this short person."
I was like,
Exactly.
She says, "Please, 10 feet
it's the
behind
other
me. He is my servant."
If he was LeBron James, I would take the credit. I'd be like, "Oh, thank
absolutely
you."
not.
"Oh my god."
That's exactly how it was.
What do you? I
This
guess what
is
questions
fun.
do you even
This is
ask
great.
when you? How do you filter out? Oh, I guess how long has been on a date? What questions are you asking?
Yeah, no, I mean,
you been asking any questions?
I'm like, I don't even think I went on a date when I was 30. Like the whole year of 30. I
Last
don't-
But now
year,
you're 31.
I don't think so.
I just
about
turned
this year?
31.
Really? When you went on a trip,
Th-
were you 29?
I was 29.
Oh,
29.
so since you've been 30, you went.
No, I haven't. I mean,
You had been on a date since you were 30
Wow,
for over a year.
it's a hard life in LA.
but the thing is, I don't mind it because I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm not going to go and waste my time. So it's like, I haven't found anybody, and going back to my high standards, worthy enough that I think to go on a date with. And it's like, and also that it's like nobody's really approached me in that manner where it's like, hey, let's go here, where I've been kind of excited or
strange.
interested.
crazy.
You feel like you're approachable?
I think so. I mean, I go to the gym every day.
I think she is.
and-
I think she
you are,
is.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yes, you're
it's
more.
not like I have
Yeah.
like an angry face.
No, she
or-
goes out. She's
yeah.
not at home.
Well, and that's the
Like,
thing is, well,
you
and I
know,
will
like-
meet some people going out, but
She
then
goes out.
my interaction with them will be.
I'm more mean. I'm the mean one now.
Will be
I'm
like a good interaction, and I'll think something will come like the next
ain't
day,
gonna
and I
know.
don't hear from them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so sometimes I'm like, and so, or it'll be completely the other way. Like, you know, people will come up to me and they'll be really interested, and I'm just like, I already know, like, this isn't it.
As they're
you
talking,
know?
you're like this. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Just turn
sad
around.
because she'll tell you about the conversation she's having, and they're very basic conversations as far as like people don't know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how to have a conversation. So even she was telling me the other day that a guy came up and he was talking about his hair product and he was bald. Sorry.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And you're like,
No, he was saying
was
how
a
he
barber.
goes. He lives in LA and he drives out to Rancho Cucamonga to get his hair cut. And I'm looking at him and he has no hair. And so then
has to cut it.
like the conversation keeps going on and on about his hair, and I'm like, wait, what? And then he's like, oh, my beard.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't like you.
I don't like this. This is making
Where
me
did you
feel
meet this person
uncomfortable.
at? Where is this person at?
I went out to Delilah for my birthday. So it was just like a dinner, lounge area, and it was great. It was fun. There was a ton of people, but that's even the thing. It's like being, like, I don't know even that, like, where besides church or, like, a random, like, grocery store, the beach, like, where do you organically meet somebody? It's like, I feel obligated, and this could sound bad, but, like, to go out with friends and, like, do things that, you know.
I mean, use this
Well, and
camouflage.
I think part of the tough part too is like you being in LA. That's not really a career town.
Yeah.
You know. So
Everyone's aspiring.
Everyone's aspiring, and then if someone is going to be well off, they're going to be in their 40s and 50s or
Yeah.
60s, and then they're going to be. Then they're going to be in the entertainment industry. So now immediately you're
Or they're
limiting.
like attorneys
is this
or
person?
something.
Yeah, is this person Christian? Are they not
Right.
Christian? So I can imagine even the 35-year-old you meet at church in an LA is like trying to become something rather
Right.
than like, oh,
Yeah,
I
like
work
all
in
of
this
them
industry.
are
You know?
actors,
Yeah.
or they're personal trainers.
They're aspiring.
Yeah.
Or
I'm
they're
this, I'm that,
Yeah.
or I'm an influencer.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the biggest one.
So
I'm
that-
always
I
like,
mean,
you're a beggar.
Yeah, those are tough. Those are
Like Instagram crashes, we're broke.
yeah.
Which is-
I think
yeah.
you should try that premium version. We see if we get
Yes.
some
All right,
new
Adam
some new
will
How much
fund
was
it.
it? How much
and then
is
we'll
it?
come back on the
$20 a month?
podcast.
It's
I
like
know something like that.
$30 a month.
I will give you. I will
See,
give
you
you.
wanna
Gym
fund it?
membership.
I will give you
I'll
that.
pay you there. I'll Venmo you
I'll
$30
give you
a month.
that for Christmas. Here.
Yeah.
Here's a chance at different guys. It's like higher caliber.
Because
But you
even
never
that,
know what
like,
they're
they
gonna
have,
be.
like, on the app, they have, like, 7 guys that they give you that are stars that you have
Yeah.
to pay for to like.
But those ones look like model, like weird.
well, most of them, though,
advertisements.
most of those though, because my app knows I like Christians. Most of those ones are Christians
Well,
and
let's
tall.
experiment. Why not?
Right?
Pay $30
$30
to meet your future husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
like I
what's
said,
the time
it's-
frame?
I would do
what
it.
would you say? 3 months?
3 months. Yeah, what are you paying me?
Yeah, what are we
There's
gonna
like a
do?
3 month. There's 3 months.
Hold on.
Wait, I just got a new job.
Nancy was like, can I get on them
in a
then?
year.
Nancy's like, I want premium.
on.
I don't ever want to start at the basic.
Allie knows when she comes out to Rancho, she don't
Pays for
spend a
nothing.
dime.
Every time I Venmo or I like Apple Pay Adam, he
sends it
sends
back?
he sends it back. He says stop.
It was like your nephew said. He's like, hey, you're broke. You're like broke auntie.
Right?
Listen,
Right.
she's gonna, because I want her to. Was she gonna meet a guy one day, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, can you Venmo me for that?" She'd be like, "My own brother-in-law
Right, yeah.
don't even make me
Yeah.
pay for dinner."
He's
like,
setting
you're,
the
you know,
example of my
like-
high standards. See?
So
I mean,
Golly. And he's 5'8".
Yeah.
diamonds out here at 5'8".
All I know is if
What
you
are
get
you?
on premium, what
What
am
are
I?
you?
I'm 6 feet.
Stop.
I just go with it.
No, don't shrug and say 6 feet.
It's like 5'11".
You're 5'10".
round it up. Yeah, Nancy, you can,
Ain't
just
no
like
way you 6 feet.
if you go round
5'10".
up your
Ain't no
height, you
way.
better round up your age.
I'm up to rate. I'm right up there. I be like, how much you make, girl? I make more than that. Don't worry about it. Go get you a job. It's
Don't
like-
worry about it. All right.
Oh my gosh, this is fun.
So that's the homework. We're gonna come back.
This is
Come back
fun.
at the top of the new year.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm gonna pay for Allie's what do you call it? Premium stars.
Just pray if you
so
get
that's
online.
just
That's all I
one
can say. It don't matter if you change
Just
the
1
premium.
month?
Okay, I'll
Right.
take that
No,
right
yeah.
now.
I don't believe it.
And I think it could be like
We'll do a couple months, and we'll come back. We'll come
Okay.
back in the new year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
First week of December, we'll come back in the new year, and we'll see if we got any upgrades.
Top contenders.
Calendar on what is it? Hinge.
Hinge.
Upgrades on Hinge.
I've heard great things about Hinge and Bumble. My friend just
Yeah.
got engaged, and she met this guy, and he is the sweetest. He did the men's sprint. He comes to church. Literally, the
He's
engagement.
sweet.
He planned
Look at that.
everything.
He's a sweet
so
guy.
it was just, I mean,
Look
yeah,
at
you
that.
never know. It may
Yeah.
work for some people.
You may need to come to Rancho every now and then, so then it changes over.
and we're gonna
because
get
we
an
can't always
update
have
on your
aspiring.
Target relationship.
Don't
Yes.
worry about that. It's
Yes,
like,
yes, let's hear
was-
about that.
She cussed after we met, and I was like, oh, no. But it doesn't matter. It's like,
We could pray
So
that
I'm
out of her.
gonna, let me know
Yeah,
if you.
yeah.
Well, you never try to hook me up with anybody, so it's like
I would never do
You'll
such
always
a
be
thing.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I just feel like you're like Allie. Like you guys have two different standards that are just like I'm not even gonna
They're
fish
too
in that
high.
pond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not that they're high. They're realistic.
They're
They're
real-
ones I
very
would
What are
have
the three of the
had.
standards
But
you have? Tell me 3 of them.
A decent job,
What's a decent job?
Just
You mean a decent
decent
income?
equal or more than what I'm doing. It's like I work hard.
How much are you doing?
How much?
she's doing well.
I'm just playing around. I was playing around. She was like,
Raise
this.
it up.
She
Raise
was
it
like,
up.
Round
I'm
two,
doing-
round
I'm
two.
doing-
I'm doing
Right
pretty
up.
well. I just got a new job as of today. So,
Yeah.
so I just got a new
Yes.
job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You should take
and
us
so,
out with your money.
no, Adam will pay.
Her niece and nephew need Christmas presents.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
Literally, there's so many
Listen.
of them.
She does
I got
well
2.
enough that she lives in Hollywood.
Yes.
Has her own place, has her own car,
car.
pays all her own bills,
Yeah.
goes out.
I
she
just
gets
need
paid
somebody
that well.
equal
Yeah.
to that.
So,
Yeah.
good job.
Taken care of. Good job. I need to find them attractive. I don't know what that means. I
fair.
literally like any like, and the thing is, I'm not. Doesn't matter the race.
Doesn't
Doesn't,
have- yeah.
matter. They could be purple. It doesn't matter. If I find them attractive,
Well,
you know.
Barney.
Yeah.
Pink drink.
ethnicities
They
are
can even be pink drink.
And number 3, I would say
Physically in shape. I feel like
Physically-
that's important
Yeah,
for
physically
you.
in shape and
Yeah.
family.
Circle-
Family's big for me.
Yeah.
Like
Round
I
is a
am.
shape,
My family does
didn't
everything
know.
together
Oh,
all
Adam
the
knows.
time.
A whole
9-pack.
bunch of that.
that's round
Yeah.
as a shape.
Yeah.
She said that.
What?
Here she said my family does everything.
Everything.
together.
Yeah, I mean, Adam's still like, I know I'm a family person, but this is a lot.
I'm batting 50-50 at family events.
Hey, that's a lot, man.
I'm only there 50% of the time.
Yeah, but I mean, I would like someone that at least is, cares about my family or their
Yeah,
family and
yeah.
wants to have that time together because I value that. So I think those are the 3 most important, and then
She's got some subsidiary
I'm
thing.
assuming
Yeah.
that then the Christian aspect, that's already assumed.
Of course, that's. I mean, that's it's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
like
Right.
That's number 1.
you can't
Yeah.
really.
Kind of saved this guy.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
so
just
what
didn't-
were
I
Eric's
just-
standards?
Yeah.
Hey,
He
come on,
didn't.
guys.
He didn't have
3
any. They're
Shop
just
at
in the
Target.
I need them to make more
Why
money
are you
than
at
me.
Target
No
so much?
cussing.
No cussing. Shop at Target.
You know
No
what?
cussing.
That's like faith. Obviously, I say faith because
Pink drink.
Everyone.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna leave me
That's
alone.
been on a
What
lot
is
of
wrong
girls'
with
red
this?
flags, bro.
Is there something on this?
Yeah,
Is there
pinkety
something wrong with
drinkety.
these?
The only person I know that's ever ordered that was a 14-year-old girl.
Come on now.
That's why he's 39.
You know, this is why
I'm gonna put that in a sippy cup for you next time.
That's why I don't like black people.
I know I'm
That's you
black.
too,
I know.
What does that
I
do
know
in
I'm in the
there?
club.
This is the best.
All right, we gotta close
Wait,
this
no,
shit
we
down.
got-
We're
we
passing
need
out.
a story.
Give us yours. Because a girl
We
may
don't
be,
have any more time,
a girl
guys.
may be listening.
We got 3
All
minutes.
right.
You got
So,
one.
A girl may be listening. She wants to know if she
for me,
fits-
it's always
fits what
goes
you're
back
looking for.
to, like I said, I always say faith no matter what, because I like to differentiate that. Faith, family, like you said, it's like more of like, hey, is your family important to you? Do you do what you need to do for your family? I talk about fitness. Finances are a big thing of like, not just how much you make, but do you understand how money moves around?
Gotcha.
Do
Not
you
a
save it?
boisterous desire for lifestyle or whatever.
Also, too, are you a giver? Do you like to actually give? Do you like to support?
Yeah.
Do you want to work to give money to charities? Because that's where I'm at.
Right.
And then for me, it's just freedom. And it's when I say freedom, it's freedom. Are you free from what the thoughts and opinions of other people?
Yeah.
So some people aren't even. They're like, well, what would they think? Who cares? Like,
100%.
forget them.
Right.
And so it's like freedom in all these aspects. Like, are they free in their spirit? Are they free even getting their money freed up so
Right.
they're not thinking of money all the time?
Right.
It's like you can't even breathe. I'm like, yo, are you good? How much? Let me look at my account. I'm like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
And so those are the big things to me of like, and that
Is
you just have a
physical
dream.
attraction for you big?
It is, but I'll say it like this. You talk to beautiful, but it's like they can still be ugly to the bone. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
That's
always
true.
like you can see the outside and be like, oh, I can be like, oh, hey, Allie, let's talk, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, she's hideous on the inside.
Yeah.
So it's always like you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
So I can
Right.
say like, oh, this is attractive. So what's attractive to me is a great spirit, kind person with the looks.
Right.
So it all goes
Yeah.
together because I don't. But I'm not gonna know when off the jump.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You might cuss me out because
Red
I got
flag.
a pink drink and I'm like, yo, who
Drinkity.
you talking to, girl?
Right.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do
there's
that.
a lot of girls red flagging off that drink. Hey, Allie, Eric, thanks for being on
Thank you
with
guys
us
for
today
being with us. It's fun.
Coming
and
back to this.
educating us on the world of out there, the dating world.
It'd be
Thank you.
great, guys. Just
Or
do
lack
it.
thereof.
God bless everybody. Peace. Lack thereof.